Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Chapter Chatter as we profile the 5 chapters that comprise the Northern Ohio region of the American Red Cross. I'm Jim McIntyre, Regional Communications Manager, and so far we've introduced you to some of the key players in the Greater Akron and Mahoning Valley chapter and the Northwest Ohio chapter. Today, it's North Central Ohio's turn. We'll talk with Todd James, the executive director of the chapter, one of his valuable volunteers, Steve Mahler, and 2 disaster program managers, Adam Warnement and Lora Taylor. Yeah, the chapter is so geographically expansive that there are 2 disaster program managers as the chapter stretches from Lorain County in the northeast to Putnam County in the southwest. Let's bring Todd James in. The real Todd James, as I like to say. He is the executive director. Good morning, Todd. Thanks for joining us. You and I knew each other even before the field alignment took place, and the North Central Ohio chapter became part of the Northern Ohio region because we've deployed together in the past.
We've had some interesting adventures together in various places.
Right. Well, let's start by talking about North Central Ohio.
Sure.
You're headquartered in Findlay.
Yes.
But you have an office in Lorain County.
Mm-hmm.
And you stretch, as mentioned, all the way to Putnam County. So that's pretty big territory you got to cover.
We cover a lot of ground, without a doubt, and there's a lot of diversity within that of the geography we cover from, as you said, Putnam County. We also have an office in Ottawa and a pretty rural area. Ottawa, a nice, beautiful small town. Then heading all the way up to the northeast, up to Lorain County, which is a lot more hustle and bustle than they're used to over in Putnam County. And in between, we've got a lot of great people, volunteers, amazing partners and donors that we work with. So we've really enjoyed getting to know some of our new friends in the counties that have joined the North Central Ohio chapter. And the folks that have been with us for a while have been great in helping us reach out and welcome them to the family.
Well, as you mentioned, there's a lot of rural area in your chapter. Lorain County is urban for the most part, but part of it anyway, with the cities of Lorain and Elyria. But once you get out of there, it's smaller towns. Mm-hmm. Yet you have a Fortune 500 company headquartered in your town.
We have Marathon Petroleum Corporation is headquartered here in Findlay, and they are an amazing partner of the American Red Cross. We've worked with them for many, many years. They have been supportive in so many different ways, not just financially supportive, but they are definitely that. Most recently made a $1 million gift to support our efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic and the work that we're doing, but have supported our disaster relief efforts over the years. But a lot of their folks volunteer with us. They take advantage of the programs we have to offer, like our preparedness programs and our training services. We regularly do their first aid and CPR training for their team over there. But we also have Cooper Tire, another worldwide company located here in Findlay, Whirlpool, a lot of great companies, and not just in Findlay, but throughout the entire chapter. We've got, now I have Cedar Point as part of my chapter.
Right.
So yeah. Pretty excited about that and the opportunity to work with the folks up there. And I got to tell you, one of the things that excited me when the new chapter configuration came out and we saw the areas we were going to have. When I was a kid, we used to take an annual trip up to Castalia to the Blue Hole, and that was always something to look forward to for the summer. So I'm looking forward to, I understand it's not open anymore, but I'm looking forward to going back and visit the Blue Hole sometime.
I remember I once visited the Blue Hole with my family too when I was a child. It was billed as a bottomless pit of water, I guess.
Yeah, there were stories like, when the wagon train, if I remember right, when the wagon trains were headed west, and the way they found the Blue Hole was that a wagon train fell into it and it went down forever. And so they ended up building a little visitors area around it, and they stocked it. They had a fish pond and streams where you could watch the fish swim and everything. It was always fun.
Yeah, we took a family vacation in the area when I was a child. They had a prehistoric forest there. And of course, you have you have the islands.
Yeah. Well, one of them anyway. We have Kelly's Island in the chapter, and that has a personal tie for my wife's family. They immigrated from Ireland, and they arrived at Kelly's Island. They actually have a street named for them on the island. We went out there a couple of summers ago to find the street that's named after them, and found my wife's great grandmother's plot in the local cemetery, and took some pictures of the headstone. So again, we're excited to get back out there.
I've spent a lot of time on Kelly's Island. What street? What's the name of the street?
Monahan Street.
Monahan.
Monahan.
Okay.
That was the family name, and so we took a ride out and we found it out near the airport.
This is a fascinating conversation between me and Todd. I don't know how interesting it is to anybody else, but
Rails, but
Todd, you mentioned that Cedar Point is now part of the North Central Ohio chapter. Cedar Point has been a fantastic partner. They every year, including this year, offer incentives for people to donate blood by offering them a chance to have admission discounted or free.
Yeah, they have been an amazing partner for our blood services team, and this summer, maybe more so than almost any other we can remember in our lifetimes, is the vital need we have for continuing to get folks to come and give blood during the pandemic. And it has been a challenge because of so many drives having to be canceled because of businesses and schools being closed, and the new protocols we put in place to ensure that everybody has a safe blood donation experience. So having partners like Cedar Point who offer the incentives for folks to come out and help us save lives has just been so vital. So we truly appreciate it.
You mentioned that you have a good, loyal core of volunteers who respond to home fires, volunteers who deploy to other regions of the country to help people in need. And one of those volunteers is Steve Mahler, who you've invited to join us on this broadcast. Let's bring Steve in. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim.
Steve and I worked together in Dayton after the tragic shooting there last summer on that disaster relief operation, and you brought us both there, Todd. You were the public affairs boss then.
Yeah, I got a call early on, and one of the first things I do when I get the call is I start thinking about assembling my team. And well, Jim, as you know, you're one of the first calls that I always make for public affairs. And Steve has been an amazing leader of our disaster services this past several years, and quickly got noticed not just here in the chapter, but within our region, and even across our division and across the country as a leader in the work that he does. So when these events happen, and especially here in Ohio, Steve is one of the first folks they call, and he's one of the first to say, of course, I'll go help. I think he's out there more often than almost anybody else that I know of, helping folks recover. And he does some very tough work. I know you guys are going to talk about what he does, and his role out there. He does several different areas that he helps with, but especially his work with our care and condolence team is an amazing display of compassion that he and his team give in extremely unfortunate circumstances. So I so admire you, Steve, and the work that you do, and the dedication you've brought to our team here in the North Central Ohio chapter has been amazing.
Thanks, Todd.
The integrated care and condolence team is something that is very important to the Red Cross. Can you explain what you do as an ICC team member, Steve?
Sure, Jim. The integrated care and condolence team is a team effort for families due to a crisis, a home fire, or any event where with that family. So the team concept would include a caseworker, which is me, a health service nurse, a disaster mental health counselor, and disaster spiritual care. In the ideal situation, all four of us would be meeting with the surviving family, and we would work with them through casework to provide the condolence care, the funds that are available for them for the fatality, and the other things that they need to help them recover from that event.
Steve, is this generally a function of the Red Cross for major large-scale disasters, or does the care and condolence team also work on a local level, for instance, after a home fire?
Yes, correct. It would be scalable from a single event family fire all the way up to a tornado or a flood or any disaster relief operation where you have fatalities related to the disaster. We would form teams to go out and meet with those families to help them through that event.
Not easy work, and it's not the only work you do. What else do you do for the Red Cross, Steve, as a volunteer?
So in my chapter, I'm a DAT lead, so we go out and do the home fire disasters, local floods, tornadoes, anything that happens locally or regionally. Also install smoke alarms locally through that event. That's a lot of fun to help prevent fires. I do casework locally as a recovery coordinator for the chapter, so we would coordinate the caseworkers and the different services that the Red Cross provides to the local clients as well. Then there special events, anything like that comes up. Can even paint the office once in a while.
You mean I did service to the armed forces. Don't you volunteer for them too yet?
Oh yes, you're right. We do the collections at Walmart as well. Yeah, it's pretty much anything Todd wants, maybe everything he wants, but not all of it probably.
So what motivates you to be so active a volunteer for the Red Cross, Steve? You could spend your time doing any number of things. Why with the Red Cross?
So when I retired early as an engineer, engineers are usually busy people, and we handle multiple projects. So looking at the different organizations that are available to volunteer, the Red Cross has a lot of standards and practices and processes in place, checks and balances. There's a lot of good things that the Red Cross has, and it's relatively easy. You go to the website, fill out the application, and you meet with the DPM, and you start taking training. And there's things to do. There's events going on locally and nationally that once you have your gap in your training, you can use it. You can do something with it.
We have been talking about Hurricane Hannah and Hurricane Douglas. Douglas going over the Hawaiian Islands, Hannah, of course, hitting Mexico and Texas. And now we have Tropical Storm Isaiah, which is heading toward Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So it's going to be, it has been so far. We're not even out of the month of July, and we've had 9 named storms in the Atlantic alone. It's going to be a very busy hurricane season, and we need people who are healthy and willing to deploy if needed to help operate shelters. We're going to have to set up shelters at some point if there is a major large-scale disaster, a hurricane or wildfire. And if you are so inclined, you feel you can contribute to the mission of the American Red Cross, which is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies, then please visit redcross.org/volunteer today. It's at the bottom of your screen. It'll show you where the highest priority volunteer needs are. And one of them is to work in shelters, to deploy when other people are in trouble and have to flee their homes and evacuate because of natural disasters or man-made disasters for that matter. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for what you do. And it was great meeting you last year under very trying circumstances in Dayton, Ohio. But I'm glad I got to know you then, and I'm glad you're part of our broadcast today.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
I'll bring you back at the end of the show, but first I'd like to introduce you to the 2 disaster program managers for the North Central Ohio chapter, Adam Warnement. Adam, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Thanks for joining us here today. And here's Lora Taylor. Hi, Lora. That's right. Need to unmute.
Hi. Yeah, I did unmute. Thank you. Hello.
All right. So how is it that the North Central Ohio chapter is blessed with 2 disaster program managers? Adam, do you know?
Well, my old chapter, when I was a part of the other region, kind of got split 3 different ways. So I'm working with Wyandotte, Hancock, and Seneca counties, and then I picked up Putnam counties that was from a different chapter. So I'm kind of the southwest corner of this chapter, and then Lora's got the northern part. So it was an interesting divide, but we've had some amazing volunteers that have made it very easy to do the transition.
That's right. You do work with some fantastic volunteers, and Lora Taylor, you were among those volunteers before you joined the working ranks of the Red Cross, the staff, so to speak.
That is correct. When I first started about six and a half years ago, I was the first 2.5 years, I was a volunteer for the chapter that I now am a disaster program manager in.
Right. I remember working with you on a smoke alarm installation event with a military base in Lorain County. I can't remember which one.
It was the National Guard.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
That was early on in my
right
Red
before,
Cross.
Yeah, it was shortly before I became a disaster program manager.
Right.
About a year before. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of handle the disasters that occur in Lorain and Erie counties and the northeast part of the chapter, right?
That is correct. Lorain, Erie, and Huron counties.
Right. And then Adam, as you mentioned, you're down in the southwestern part of the chapter where you've been working all along. I know that the Red Cross responds to an average of more than 62,000 disasters every year, and the vast majority of them are home fires. Adam, is that true for your chapter?
Yeah. Our big focus is usually home fires, but here we've been blessed with the Blanchard River, which this river is needed a lot of mitigation over the last few years, as Todd could say too. When I started in here, our big focus really was working on the flooding opportunities. I guess we had a lot of items that happened with that. We had to open a couple of shelters here. So, and I started in 2017. So we've been busy with that. That's a little extra twist in our daily lives or weekly lives that we kind of have to monitor what's going on with the mighty Blanchard River down here. So that's always a concern that we've got.
And it's very important for people to be prepared for any eventuality, but especially if you live within a flood zone, a flood plain, and if you have a history of having flooding problems in your town, like Findlay, Ohio, and the Blanchard River. I want to show a video now about preparing an emergency kit, how to be prepared for any eventuality. And it's especially important for people in areas like Findlay, when the Blanchard River is prone to overflow every now and then.
Hey everybody, Stephanie with the American Red Cross here, and right now I'm building my emergency kit, and I want to show you what I'm putting in it so that you can build one at home too. So let's start off with a first aid kit, very important. Got some Band-Aids, got some gauze, anything you need to help if you get an injury or one of your family members get one. You'll want drinking water too, so you can get some of these emergency packs or you can get bottled water. Here's one version of it. But you could also get one of these gallon containers to fill up with water as well. Ziploc baggie with all the important documents that you do not want to get wet in case there is some flooding or some severe rain. So very important to have that as well. Emergency blanket in case you get cold and need to keep warm. We are experiencing the coronavirus pandemic, so it's very important for you guys to just have gloves in your kit, some masks for you and your family members, hand sanitizer. And you'll want to keep up to date with your local news. So this is a hand-cranked radio. Also doubles up as a flashlight, so super helpful 2-in-1 deal right here. We've got the emergency poncho in case it gets rainy. You don't want to get wet. Great to have these in your emergency kit. This is to disinfect, to clean surface areas, so keep that with your hand sanitizer. Got some tape just in case. And we always got to have our phones charged, right? So you want to make sure you get a battery pack, some extra chargers to keep those phones charged in case you need them in case of an emergency. And obviously you want some non-perishable food items. So here we've got some cans, we've got some peanut butter, some granola bars, in case you get hungry and you're not able to get some food. So this is my emergency kit. Hope you can build yours too.
Well, that Stephanie sure is smart, isn't she?
Oh yeah, yep. Those are preparing yourself in that manner. The way she was explaining it is exactly what you want to do. And you know, we know firsthand here in this area between the flooding and tornadoes and everything else that that's exactly what you have to do to be prepared.
Lora, Adam talked about how the Blanchard River overflowing is a big concern. But tell us about an experience that you had that was a larger than normal scale disaster that you had to respond to.
Outside the home fires and things like that, we've had a few gas outages where there's been in the middle of the winter time, and we've had to open up a shelter for something like that. Lake Erie floods over there in like Vermilion area along the Erie County and Lorain County border area. So we have that to also kind of watch out for as well.
Right. Yeah. I know the Vermilion River does tend to flood sometimes, especially at the end of the winter when the ice jams up at the mouth where the Vermilion River meets Lake Erie. So yeah, there's a lot of housing around there too.
Yes.
So I'm sure there are plenty of sheltering opportunities there, or will be in the future. Lora and Adam, thank you both for taking the time to join us today and explaining your roles as disaster program managers in the North Central Ohio chapter.
Thanks,
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to bring Todd James back because Todd, when we were watching that video, Stephanie mentioned how it was important to have a hand cranked radio so you can understand, you can listen, you can have information, be informed, make a plan, have a kit. Being informed is part of what you do too. You've been on several radio stations in the past week or so telling people about our volunteer needs and asking them to donate blood.
Yeah, in my role as executive director, that's a big part of what I do is getting out in the community and making sure that folks are aware of what we're doing out there every day. We have so many different programs and services available. Some folks know about when I speak to a group and I say, hey, who knows the Red Cross, and every room in the hand goes up. And what do you think about when you think about us? And it's blood and it's fires and floods. And so I like to always say, yep, I bring the party, blood and fire. I'm that guy. So, but there's so much more that we do also. We prepare our communities like the Be Red Cross Ready presentations. We teach folks how to put together their family emergency kits and make plans. And we're out there every day training people how to save lives with our first aid, our CPR, babysitter training, our swimming lessons, and our work with the service to the armed forces. And that's a particular passion of mine, the work that we do. Not just providing emergency communications for military families, which is we are the only ones who do that, but also supporting our service members and our military families and our veterans here on the home front with our resiliency training and the many different programs here in the chapter. We do Holidays for Heroes. So we send several hundred care packages to our troops overseas every year around the holidays. And that is work that for a lot of people, they're not aware of. If you weren't in the military or a military family and didn't need the Red Cross services, you probably don't know that we do all of this, but we do. And so we're out there every day sharing that. And I'm an old radio guy, as you are. And so I know the power of our local radio and all of our local media in getting the word out. So we spend a lot of time working with our media partners and telling the Red Cross story, letting people know how they can volunteer, because volunteers are the ones who do it all. Everything that we talk about in the Red Cross, all the great work we talk about that we do every day, it's volunteers who are making it happen. So we share the information on how they can do that and make sure people know about our programs and how they can take advantage of them. How can they schedule a Be Red Cross Ready presentation at their workplace, or how can they reach out and bring the pillowcase project to their kids' school or their after school group. So I have a lot of fun. I probably have the best job in the Red Cross, I think, and being an executive director, because I get to get out there and be in our communities, work with our volunteers and our partners. And it's fun every day. You know, it's something different every day. And every day I can look around and know that, you know, we made a difference in someone's life today. We provided blood at the local hospital that saved a life. We helped somebody, you know, get out of a burning home safely because we installed a smoke alarm. We helped a military family who had a crisis on the home front. We got them in touch with their service member and made sure that we made that family connection. And so, you know, when you can look at the end of your day and know that you've done something like that, or you've been a part of doing it, because as I said, it's really the volunteers that are doing it all, but you've been a part of it, it's a pretty good way to end the day.
And you can tell the story so well.
Oh,
You in particular, as a member of the Advanced Public Affairs team,
yeah.
you do a great job, Todd.
Thank you.
We try to tell the story of the Red Cross in Northern Ohio in several ways. One of the ways you can keep up with what we do is by following us on our blog at nohredcross.org. And you mentioned, Todd, the Be Red Cross Ready preparedness trainings. We're having several of them virtually. They began in June. They continue in August. And on Monday, we'll have a story posted on nohredcross.org with the schedule of Be Red Cross Ready events that you'll be able to attend everywhere from being prepared for a tornado to having your pets prepared for any eventuality. And you also mentioned blood, Todd. People think of the Red Cross, they often first think of blood, because we do supply about 40% of the nation's blood to hospitals for people who need it. You can schedule an appointment at redcrossblood.org. But more importantly, right now, the biggest need is for people who have fully recovered from COVID-19 to donate plasma.
Yeah.
And it's a public service that you can do that might help someone else recover or even save their life. So if you visit redcrossblood.org/plasma for COVID, and the address is at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to fill out a form that needs to be filled out before you are able to make an appointment to donate your convalescent plasma. And it's very important that you do that.
Yeah, the convalescent plasma program, Jim, I got to tell you, saving lives every day. There's more of a demand for the plasma than there is of the plasma itself right now. So we do need folks who were lucky enough to, survive and come through the disease, the virus. We really need folks to help the next group of people who are getting sick now. And this is a great way to do it.
And remember, we all play our part. We can play our part. We should by CDC, which to many people means the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, but to us it means cover, distance, and clean.
Yep.
All right, Todd. Thank you. I want to bring everybody else back right now. Steve, thank you very much for the help that you give us every day and for joining us here today.
Thanks. Thank you, Jim.
And Lora and Adam, your work as disaster program managers is indispensable, and I appreciate your being with us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Join us next week. We are going to talk to Kim Crow, who is in the Heartland Stark Muskingum Lakes chapter. And Kim is going to be talking to us about her role there, as her chapter is headquartered in Canton, Ohio. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of Chapter Chatter. And please join us again next week. Thank you.